Hey there, it's Kristen. And before we dive into today's episode, I have a tiny favor to ask. I'm planning some exciting stuff this year for the podcast and my courses, and I would really love your input. I put together a super quick survey. It's mostly multiple choice and shouldn't take you more than a few minutes. Your feedback will directly shape the content I create this year, so I can make sure it's exactly what you need to thrive in your business without the hustle. Because I know your time is precious, everyone who completes the survey gets entered into a giveaway where 2 lucky winners will get a $50 gift card to Amazon or Target, your choice. It's just a little thank you for helping me make this year on the show the best yet. Head over to kristendoyle.co/survey, or you can find the link in the show notes. The giveaway ends on April 14th, so don't wait too long. Hey y'all, I am so excited that you are here today for this guest episode. Today I am talking with Melissa from Not Another VA. She is a former history teacher who now specializes in helping TPT sellers find success with email marketing. I know this is a big topic that a lot of you have been thinking about and asking questions about, so I'm really excited to dive in today. Melissa and I are talking about choosing the right email platform, finding things to write about, how to get your subscribers to actually open your emails and click your links. And then at the end, I am going to ask her some rapid fire questions that you guys submitted. So you definitely won't want to miss those. All right, let's get right into the show. Hey, TPT sellers, ready to see growth in your business? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Savvy Teacher Seller. I'm Kristen Doyle, and I'm here to give you no-fluff tools and strategies that will really make an impact on your sales. Let's get started, y'all. Welcome, Melissa. Thank you so much for being here today. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you got into email marketing for TPT sellers?
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So I took Lisa Fink's course on email marketing. That's kind of how I started. And I started email marketing for my own list and getting really successful at it and finding that I had a passion for it. And it became this like nighttime thing. I put my kids to bed. I would go do email marketing at night and I taught full time and loved it. And it just took off. And now I'm doing it full time and absolutely love what I'm doing. It turned into a passion.
Love it. So it was kind of the side hustle to your side hustle for a little while, it sounds like. That's so funny because that's actually how I started in web design and then shifted into SEO was the side hustle to my side hustle because I started the same way, learning about something I was interested in and then realizing that other TPT sellers needed help with this too. And so I started branching out and helping other people as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And now it's become this community that I love being a part of. I love getting questions. I love answering questions. I love just everything email marketing. My husband gets sick of hearing about it, but I love it.
Well, I have a ton of questions for you today. I asked my audience, my Facebook group and my Instagram audience, what they wanted to know about email marketing. And we have so many things to dive into. I'm really excited about it. So what do you say? Let's go ahead and jump in.
Sure. Sounds great.
So first of all, let's start at the very beginning. When it comes to choosing an email platform, what should sellers be looking for?
So I think you need to think long-term in terms of strategy. What platform is going to make the most sense for you? Some people are really attracted to the fancy layout design, and then all of a sudden they realize they can't segment their list properly the way they want to. So really think about looking at each option and figuring out what's the best option for me, but also long-term, because sometimes the cheaper option may not be the necessarily better option to go in the long-term strategy of email marketing.
Yeah. And from experience, moving email platforms is a lot of work. I am still getting opt-ins from a MailChimp account that I had, I don't know, in 2015, and I haven't used it in forever. And every now and then I get an email that says someone opted in and I can't figure out where it's coming from.
I have a solution for that. You want me to say? So what I've been doing now with my audience and my clients that I work with is we've been doing email opt-ins on their website. So not connecting it to the landing page of the platform, but connecting it to their website and then directing traffic to the page on their website so people opt into their website. So then they avoid having to switch from Flowdesk to MailChimp to ConvertKit and all of those opt-ins. So putting the landing pages, the opt-in page right on their URL of their website.
Yes, because then you can just go onto your website, and if you do have to switch, you just change it from Flowdesk to ConvertKit or ActiveCampaign or whoever. You just switch that opt-in. That is actually what I've been doing lately too, and I really wish I had known that early on, because this must be a MailChimp landing page or something. I can't find it to save.
Well, the problem is you create so many of them and they get lost in space. They're on a reel or they're on a Pinterest pin or they're all over the place and you got to find them. So that's why directing traffic just to your site and starting with opt-ins there is like super helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, like I said, something I really wish I had known when I first started email marketing. Would have been so helpful. So I think you gave some really solid advice about choosing your platform. And funny enough, it's the same advice I give about choosing your website platform a lot of the time, is to think long-term, because moving is a hassle and it's always an expense, whether it's an expense in your own time or you're hiring somebody. It's just a lot of work. I definitely recommend starting out somewhere you can stay long-term. And I would love to know what your favorite platform is. What would be your recommendation for most people?
I have so many clients switching to ConvertKit, and then I have some clients that are even switching, not ConvertKit, Flowdesk, and then switching back to ConvertKit because they just missed the features of ConvertKit. My personal favorite is ConvertKit because the automations and the rules allow you to manipulate your list and make the list work for you, and not you're working with the segments or the rules of the platform. So I find it much easier.
Yeah, I am loving ConvertKit as well. And full disclosure, I am one of those people who has bounced around a lot. You're probably going to die when I say all of these. I have been on MailChimp, MailerLite, ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, back to ConvertKit, Flowdesk, and guess what? I know you know where I am now. I'm back at ConvertKit again. Moving every single time was a hassle. And for a while, I got tempted by shiny objects and felt like I needed to move for various reasons. But I have just, every time I have come straight back to ConvertKit because the features are there and it's so much more intuitive than some of the others. ActiveCampaign's amazing, but it's a big learning curve. And there were so many things that I can just click a button and do in ConvertKit that I was having to create automations for in ActiveCampaign. Just felt like I was having to jump through too many hoops to do simple things.
Yeah, I recommend to my clients looking at what features they're currently using and what features do they want to use long-term, and then picking a platform from there. ConvertKit definitely has a lot of advanced features that if you're taking advantage of, makes the money, the cost of the program worth it for sure. If you're not using those advanced features, maybe go with a simpler platform that's easier to learn.
And I think ConvertKit it's fairly intuitive. It's pretty simple to learn and get started on. And I do love that you can segment your list and you can use lots of tags and things to really tailor what people are getting. What would you recommend for sellers who are wanting to start an email list, but they don't have a website yet? I hear that question a lot in my Facebook group. People asking, do I have to start a website before I can start growing an email list, or how do I start one without a website?
So you can create a separate landing page with whatever platform you use and the direct traffic there. You could put the landing page into your bio of, let's say, Instagram, or in your Facebook profile or Facebook group. You could also link it to your terms of use page with your terms of use. I have numerous sellers that I've worked with that have a great graphic on their terms of use page. Join the email list, get freebies, and people join every day from places that they're already buying from. If they're already bought from you, they're going to like you and want to join your list. So it's a great way to get traffic without having a website. You can do all of those things. You can create pins to the opt-in, use the landing pages that way.
Yeah, so those sellers would definitely want to look for a platform that has a really good landing page builder. I know some of those are better than others, but they would want to look for one that has good landing page designs and things that they can really flesh out a nice landing page. Whereas, we just talked about, I usually make my landing pages right on my website so I can make it look however I want and then just add the form in. But if you're relying on the landing page from your email provider, you definitely want to look into what's available for those.
That's a great tip.
What tips can you share with us for successfully using email marketing, specifically in this teacher niche?
Yeah, so you got to think of email as a long-term strategy. It's not something you could just start overnight and then take off. Yeah, you can get a ton of email subscribers, but they're not going to buy from you until they trust you and have a good rapport with you. So I think the most important thing is trust, rapport, and consistency. Those are the three things I really like to stress with email marketing. You need to be consistent with email marketing. If you send an email twice a month, do it twice a month. If you do it every week, do it every week. I think the most important thing is consistency, and they build trust and rapport by getting that weekly email. I mean, there's email lists you're probably on that you see every Tuesday, you're going to get an email from this seller or this person, and you look forward to getting those emails. So you want to get that trust and rapport.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people ask questions about how do I write a subject line that people will actually click on to open. But I've heard someone say that people are more likely to click on your name to open than the subject line. A lot of times, once you've built that trust with people, they don't care what the subject line is. They see an email from you and they go, oh, I want to see what she has to say today. And so they'll open it regardless of the subject line. Is there any email marketing advice that you've heard that's kind of out there in, business world that maybe works great for some businesses, but doesn't work well in the TPT?
Yeah. So I thought about this. If you're reading anywhere online, I took Amy Porterfield's list building course. And if you read anywhere, they're telling you to segment lists and divide your list up so you can really market to that specific area. I think with the teacher space, it's really hard because teachers bounce grades, they bounce subject areas. So I think that's really, really hard if you're dividing your list into, let's say, different subject areas. Teachers change grades every year sometimes. Teachers change subject areas, they stop teaching. So it's really important to use tags strategically, but don't just email the tags exclusively, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes it really important that we think long-term again about our tags and how we are tagging people. Maybe it means we need to ask teachers to update their grade level every school year. I was just thinking as you were talking, sometimes maybe that means we need more broad tags that would encompass more subjects, more grade levels instead of getting super specific.
Yeah. And when I think of email, I think of what is the theme for the email going to be? And then I provide a bunch of products related to that theme. So if you teach third grade or fourth grade or fifth grade, you can find the theme of the lesson or the email subject, and then find lessons that relate to your grade in case you've bounced around a little bit. So I think that's what's helpful when I plan.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of putting multiple products in our emails, let's talk a little bit about getting those emails to actually convert into sales. What tips do you have for us as far as getting the clicks over to our store and getting them to actually convert to a purchase?
Yeah, I use something I call it the rule of 3 with all my clients. So the rule of 3 is your link should be in the email placed 3 times, the top, the middle, and the bottom of the email. If you're having one call to action, it should be in 3 places of the email. The images should be clickable, as well as you should have a button trying to get them to link there. My click rates are great. If you look at some of my clients' emails, the click rates are phenomenal because I put it in different parts of the email. Most people don't read the full email. You could think about the last email you got. Did you read the entire email from top to bottom? Probably not. You have people that might scroll straight to the bottom. So that's why you put something at the bottom as a PS. You put something in the middle, and then some people want to read the top and then close it. So it's really helpful to have the link in that multiple places.
Yeah. And I have read somewhere, I think I actually heard it on a podcast, that there are 4 types of readers. And they were specifically talking about email marketing, but it applies to sales pages, blog posts, product descriptions, really anything. 4 types of readers in the world. There are people who read the beginning and make a decision. There are people who scroll all the way to the bottom and don't even read the top. They just want to get to the end and they read that part. Then there are people who skim. And then there's this small percentage of people who really do read every single word. And that's one thing I've tried to keep in mind as I'm writing whatever I'm writing for, that it really needs to work for all of those different people. So I love that advice to put your links at the beginning, in the middle, and the end. Text links, images, buttons, lots of places for people to see the link. And
then I make the buttons and the links a different color so it pops out a little bit. So if you look at some of the features of Flowdesk or ConvertKit, you can actually change the links in the template section and change the color of the links in Flowdesk. So it's helpful so the link pops out with your brand colors. And then the same thing with the rule of 3, paragraph is no more than 3 sentences long. So if you have a paragraph that's longer than 3 sentences, people tune to not read it. So I break them up into short, digestible pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, at least as a reader, I am a skimmer unless I already know I love it at the beginning. Sometimes I read the beginning and decide, but for the most part, I'm a skimmer. And so if a paragraph is more than 3 or 4 lines down whatever device, I get a little overwhelmed with it and I just scroll.
Well, and you got to also remember, I was going to pull up my phone, but most users are actually looking at their phones to read an email. So you got to make sure it's optimized for mobile. So what I do with my clients when I read it, I actually send myself a test copy of every email and I read it on mobile because you can see if it's optimized for mobile. That's where most users, I think I've read 70% of people are actually looking at emails on their phones. So it's super helpful if it's optimized for mobile.
Yeah, absolutely. And things that look like they're not too long on your computer will look really long sometimes.
Yeah, and then be aware of the graphics and how many images you put and all that is really important.
Yeah, so we want it to load quickly for sure. I know I was testing an email that I was sending out last week and the image took forever to load on my phone for some reason. So I went back and looked and sure enough, I had exported it from Canva really big. So I just needed to shrink that down to a better size because like you said, it was going on a phone, not on a big desktop for most people. So it really doesn't have to be a huge image. Well, I will say, I know that your rule of three works for sure, because since you started doing emails for Chalk and Apples for me, my click rates have been through the roof. They have been so much better than they were before. Definitely is working. Let's talk. The big thing I think that a lot of us struggle with is figuring out what to say. So let's talk a little bit about deciding what to write when maybe you feel like you have nothing to say to your audience right now.
Yeah. So clients come to me all the time saying, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to plan. And I often say, when are you writing your emails? Well, I'm writing on Monday night before Tuesday morning, or I'm writing on Sunday night before Monday morning. They're going to send. And I think that is the biggest mistake you could make as an author. So use whatever platform you're using and try to plan ahead, whether you use Trello or Airtable or Asana, plan ahead. So I have my clients, and I do it for myself too, is I plan my emails for the next month, the month before. So I'm thinking a month ahead, what holidays are coming up, what sales are coming up. So I know like TPT is going to have a sale at a certain time of year. So I know the week before needs to be a freebie email and a teaching email. So kind of a value email, where the next week is going to be a really hard sell email. I'm going to probably have a few emails going out with a sale. So it's important to like plan those out. Look at the holidays, look at Veterans Day. Is it Grandparents' Day? Is it Valentine's Day? Look at the holidays. And then teachers are such planners. So it's important to keep that in, like you were thinking of sellers and other niches. Other niches, you probably could just send it the week of and people will buy it up. But the problem is with teachers, they're planners. A lot of them are type A planners. I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of them.
I was not. I was the last minute planner.
But I think a lot of them are planners. So if you're planning on doing Halloween like the week before, people already have their plans ready to go the following week sometimes. So it's important to get both the type A and the not type A.
Yeah. And even if they are not a planner, a lot of times admin requires your lesson plans to be turned in a week early or whatever, at least a few days early. So definitely, I think teachers are planning things ahead. Would you suggest then holiday emails, we kind of focus on sending those out a week or two before the holiday?
A week or two before, exactly. Like I already have clients in November planning for December's holiday emails. What crafts are they going to do? What bulletin boards are they going to do? So plan ahead at the end of the month before. What are you going to be sending the following month? So that's why it's helpful to look at a calendar and figure out what holidays come up. What topics could I talk about? Where's my teachers' heads too? Like that's important. Like if you're just selling to them constantly, if it's May, they're super stressed out. Maybe send them a gift card. Maybe give them a freebie that will help them get through the week. Even a simple email is a check-in email. How are you doing? That's one action I would like encourage you to do is send check-in emails. And I know it's going to be annoying to get a bunch of replies, but you want that trust and rapport, and they want to see you as the teacher next door, not just the business owner.
Yeah. And those replies that come in, they are, sometimes it's a lot if you get a ton of them at one time. I have 20 or so sitting in my inbox right now that I need to respond to. But if you take just that second to open their email and type out, even if it's just a 1-sentence response and send it back to them, they will feel like they have just made a new friend. That goes a long way toward building that trust.
And if you use Gmail, you could have a template set up in your regular Gmail as a template. Like, I hope you have a great week. Thanks. This was so helpful. You can make it seem really personal. And then I use the rule. If they reply to me, I just do the same amount of response. So if they wrote a couple sentences, then just write a sentence back and say your first name. If they wrote a paragraph, I try to write a little bit longer. So that's usually what I do with replies.
Yeah, that's a good rule to follow too. And I do love using templates in Gmail. They save so much time. And I am one of those people who is, when I'm writing an email or any messages, really, I am down to business. So if I were just to write an email reply by myself, it would be one little phrase and it would just address whatever question they had. And there would be no like, hey, how are you? Have a great week. None of that. Because that's just not natural for me when I'm writing things. If I'm answering questions, I'm answering questions. So using a Gmail template is super helpful for that, for having that little bit of personality and a little bit more personal conversation to attach with, whatever you're responding to.
Well, and if you have like a space, if you're like a reading teacher, a social studies teacher, a math teacher, you could have a couple blog posts ready to go that are similar to that idea and make it a template and then just reply with the template. You might like this idea. You might like this blog post.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Love that. Might have to do that with some of those replies that are sitting in my inbox right now.
Well, and then you could have some of those frequently asked questions as a template too, and just have it ready to go.
I love that. My tip for Gmail templates that I'll share just in case people are just getting started with them. If you save a template with your signature and then you open up a reply also with your signature, they get your signature multiple times. So when you save your templates, take the signature off. I've done that and had 3 signatures one time in an email and thought, wow, this doesn't look good. Now I know. All right. Well, this has been such a great conversation. I wanted to kind of end with some rapid fire questions from my audience, if that's okay with you. Hopefully we can get through these fairly quickly. We'll see. I say rapid fire questions, and then I'm not always the best at making them fast. Sometimes I like to talk about it, but here we go. All right. First question. How often should you email your list?
I recommend once a week, being consistent at the same time every week, but some clients can't handle that. Some business owners can't handle that. So then email the first of the month, twice a month, figure out some kind of consistency. You can poll your audience and see what they want. So you can make a simple Google survey, offer a gift card to a winner and pick a winner and have them complete a survey. What day of the week do you want an email? I do recommend emails towards the beginning of the week so teachers can start planning the rest of the week or the following week. Think about you as a teacher. When did you likely open an email from like a teacher that was emailing you? And yeah, that's what I recommend.
I was on the right track. I thought you were going to say weekly. So here's a follow-up question to that. And I think I know exactly what you're going to say based on your answer just now. How important is it that we email at the same day and time every week?
It's so important. If you're sporadic, they're going to be sporadic opening their emails. But if you're consistent with it, I think that's the most important thing. So you knew what I was going to say. But yeah, the most important thing is consistency. So the same time, the same day every week. So every Monday at 7 a.m. or every Monday at 3 p.m., whatever you choose to send, do the same time and test try it for a while and figure out what works for your audience too.
Yeah. How long would you suggest testing like one day and time before you switch it up and try something different?
I would do at least 3 weeks, and then you can create like a spreadsheet and see your open rates and click rates, and then 3 or 4 weeks, and then try it again the next month and see. You could also, like if you have ConvertKit, you can do like change the subject times and stuff like that. But that's what I would recommend.
Awesome. All right. Next question. Should you have a weekly email that shares multiple types of comments or content, or should you just focus on one key piece of content that you want them to see?
Okay, I recommend a theme for the email and plan the email around the theme. So a blog post about the topic, an upsell about the topic, and sometimes even a freebie about that same topic. I try to do themed emails. I think it just makes the most sense. If you're trying to throw too much at them, they're going to get lost in all the different products and they might be like overwhelmed with the products. You can think of like a Cyber Friday sale. There's almost just too many emails coming in, too many stores. You just close it down and don't want to even open your emails on Fridays. So think of the email the same way, a theme, consistent, a blog post, upsell, and a freebie. I try to do in every email.
Yeah. So you would say then that it's okay to have links to different places. We just want them all to be related to the same thing.
Related to the same thing. Yeah.
So as opposed to like, here's the latest blog post, here's my latest podcast episode. Oh, and here's this product too. You would suggest more like, we're talking about multiplication facts today. Here's a blog post you can read. Here's the podcast. Here's some products you might like.
Exactly. And then if you teach multiple grades, try to have like multiple grade options there. So if you were teaching about multiplication that applied to 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade, maybe have products for each grade level because there's probably teachers on your list that are on different grade levels.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's another one of those things that's a little different for us as TPT sellers than it is for most other businesses. In email marketing advice in general, they would tell you to have a single call to action per email, never more than one, because you'll confuse people by trying to send them to more than one place. But because we have an audience of teachers who teach multiple grade levels sometimes, or multiple subjects, I think it really is more important to give them a variety of options to click so they can find one that fits what their content level is. All right, next question, how do you balance when you share blog posts versus products in your emails? I guess that would apply to podcast episodes and things as well.
I try to mix it up. Sometimes teachers want to read more, so you can always do a small, like if you want to learn more, click here to listen to the podcast. Or if you want to read more, click here to do the blog post, and then direct them directly to the product. That's what I try to do. I try to include the blog post or the podcast in the email as a simple click here to learn more, because you want to direct traffic, whether you're directing traffic to your blog, that's more, and then the blog is selling it or the podcast is selling it also.
Yeah, I love that approach because that gives people who are ready to make a purchase, they already know and trust you, that option to just go buy the resource. But for people who aren't ready to make a purchase yet, they can go over to learn more about the topic and then hopefully make a purchase after they read your blog post.
Well, and if you have your blog written for SEO, it will sell the product. It will sell other blog posts linked to it. Like it's helpful to direct traffic that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you know that I am always promoting using SEO to drive traffic to your blog posts and send that over to your store as well. What about, a lot of TPT sellers do promotional things where we collaborate with other sellers and we get this influx of new subscribers. What would you say is a good way to leverage that sudden influx of subscribers on your list?
Yeah, so we've done a number of those for a bunch of clients will email me saying, here's the list. We just did this opt-in. We got 20,000 emails or 10,000 emails. So what you can do is send them a welcome email, a little bit about you, a little bit about your business, and then give them an exclusive freebie. Say, I'm so excited you're here. Please reply with what grade you teach, how long you've been teaching, that type of thing, and try to establish that relationship right from the start. And then hopefully you can then move them into your welcome sequence, which is also going to then build rapport and build trust with them.
Yeah, you really want to roll out the red carpet for those brand new subscribers, especially if they have just subscribed to maybe a dozen different people's email lists. You want yours to be one that they make a connection with and that they want to continue reading. Otherwise, they just suddenly started getting 12 new emails a week, and that feels overwhelming and they start unsubscribing, I would assume.
Yeah, and I wouldn't roll them into your newsletter just right away. I would make them go through the welcome sequence first and then go into your newsletter after that too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, last question. Where would you suggest people start in terms of sending out broadcasts versus creating sequences?
So people often just start doing the weekly emails and then they realize all of a sudden we need to start doing sequences. I kind of recommend doing both. Do a sequence trying to upsell your opt-in. So imagine they got the freebie with the opt-in, then they got the freebie email, then give them a selling email, and then a teaching email and a selling email in that series. So you kind of should do both at the same time. A lot of sellers come to me with just this email list they've been emailing, but they're not converting to sales. So I think the reality is take that warm list that opted in for the freebie and try to sell them with an automation or a workflow that way.
Good advice for sure. And I know a welcome sequence is on my list of things I really need to create because I don't have one. We'll have to talk about it.
Yeah, no, welcome sequence you should have from the start. And they should all go through that welcome sequence before they're even added to your newsletter weekly emails. And it can offer value.
It's on my list, I promise.
So I have some clients that do a welcome sequence that's pretty long. Some clients that do short welcome sequences. I recommend about 4 emails. 1 email about you, about your business, offer them a freebie of why they joined. And then the second email, I try to think of 3 content pillars for your store. What is the first content pillar? And then have a teaching, a freebie, and an upsell related to that content pillar for your store, and then do the second email and the third email just like that, kind of welcoming them to your brand and types of products you have.
I love that approach. That sounds like a good way for them to really get to know your store as a whole.
And you're offering them value.
Absolutely. And to find out, from the beginning, if your store has the types of products that they're going to be looking for or not, because that's important too. We don't want people on our list who aren't our people.
Exactly.
So it's good to just let them know up front. Here's what I offer. These are kind of my areas. And then if they unsubscribe, they unsubscribe, right?
Well, yeah. And they're not your people. I used to get upset when people unsubscribed. And I think you got to just learn to get hard scan and not take it personally because they're just not the right people for your list. So yeah, it's great to have a list of 100,000 people or 150,000 people. But if they're not opening your emails, they're not clicking, and they're not buying, why do you have them on your list?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something I've had to develop a little bit thicker skin about as well. I think one of my biggest mistakes early on was I would click and see who unsubscribed. And then if it's a name I recognize from something, then I feel bad. And I've had to learn, just don't even look. It's fine. They're not my people. Other people are. And we want people on our email list who are, the right people for our business, not people who are just hanging around and aren't actually interested in what we offer.
Yeah, that's why I always recommend the double opt-in. If you don't have double opt-in turned on, you should definitely have that turned on. Flowdesk, interesting enough, actually recommends not to turn the double opt-in on, which I always give a hard time to the sellers that I work with. And I say we should definitely have double opt-in on because you're confirming that email, making sure they actually want to be on that list and they're a real person and not just someone putting a fake email address in.
Yeah. Realistically, if they're not interested enough in your freebie to click the download button to actually get the freebie, because that's what my double opt-in usually is. It's the download button for the freebie they asked for. If they're not interested enough to click the download button, they're not going to be good email subscribers anyway.
Yep, exactly.
Well, thank you so much. I feel like I have learned a ton today, and I'm sure everyone else has too. Can you tell us a little bit about where to find you if people want to get connected?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at Not Another VA. I would love to chat with you and you can learn tips and tricks. I also have a Facebook group that's free. There's about 2,000 subscribers right now. I think it's close to that. It's pretty up there. Called Email Marketing That Works for teacher authors. So I would love for you to join the Facebook group and the community. And then I also have a free weekly email series that comes out Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. for almost an entire year's worth of emails for free if you opt into my email list. So there's teaching emails and videos and all kinds of training that's free, all in that email list.
Awesome. I love how consistent your email list is. Look at you practicing what you preach.
Yep, Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. So if you want an email every week about email marketing, feel free to join.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you loved this episode, definitely go follow Melissa on Instagram and join her Facebook group all about email marketing for teacher authors. You can find all of her links in the show notes for today's episode at kristendoyle.co/episode 20. If email marketing is something you're focusing on right now in your business, or if it's something you've been thinking about and want to learn more about, then you'll definitely want to come back for the next 2 episodes of the Savvy Teacher Seller podcast, because this episode is kicking off our mini-series all about using email to grow your business. Talk to you soon. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please share it with another teacher seller who would also find it helpful. For more resources on growing your TPT business, head to kristendoyle.co/TPT. Talk to you soon.